let's jump right into this because they're jumping right into it. Look at this. This is, oh boy. This is the, it's just going to be gorgeous. It's just going to be gorgeous. Now, I'm going to guess, and do we have an over-under on the number of edits where they cut around his jabbering bullshit? What do you think? Minimum 20? I mean, and do they do full cutaways like the Newsmax interviews like Laura Trump did? Let's see. I'm curious. Hold on. Whoops. I got to go to this one. This guy. Totally authentic. OAN exclusive sit down with President Trump, 3 stars. Why'd they only give him 3 stars? One would, doesn't he deserve 5 stars? I mean, what's the rating? I'm sorry. We only gave our interview with him 3 stars. We were being generous. I mean, it's our network.
Whether it was in his showdowns with a
hey, it's the same scarf, only bigger.
corrupt and one-sided press, or standing up to China, the deep state, or open borders, President Donald J. Trump left an indelible mark on U.S. politics.
Yeah. It was actually quite delible, the mark he left on U.S. politics. He had an impact on like security for the Capitol. There's going to be some tightening around what a president can do in terms of how the money they make in office and that kind of stuff. That'll be the ramifications of the Trump presidency. The rest of it utterly forgettable. And by the way, even they have said so, because understand that all of them clamoring about how the entire country is collapsing. It's being destroyed from within. There's nothing you can do to save it unless he comes back. Basically proves that he built a house of cards while he was in office that had no staying power. But that's normal for him. Ask Stormy.
From the 25th floor of his iconic New York headquarters, One America News sat down with our 45th president for an exclusive one-on-one discussion.
Are you in his outer office shooting this on one of his monitors? Did they not let you back in the studio afterwards?
There, he shared with us his forecast, his fears, and
his lip gloss.
His hopes for America's horizon. In the process, we witnessed an illuminating snapshot into the mind.
I have to say, I don't know if it's the lighting or whatever, but Chanel, you look bagged out, kid. You look worn out. I mean, this is a ruddy complexion kind of a thing. And I know you wear makeup, so it's not one of those things like, oh, well, it's just somebody looking natural. That's what natural is all about. She's got huge eyeliner right here, but she looks like she stayed up all night editing. This is what happens when you work for OAN. They make you cut your own shit. Herring Brothers, or it's a father-son. The Herring twins. The people who own OAN, get this woman an editor so she can get some sleep. She's your star reporter.
Mind of a man whose leadership in battles sparked a movement that forever...
Yes, a true movement. A movement like no other. All right.
...altered the course of American history.
No, it didn't. It did not alter the course of American history. We're a democracy. We will continue being a democracy. What? I mean, the ego...
This is an OAN exclusive interview from New York City, New York. Mr. President, we sit here in Trump Tower many days and many miles from...
Yeah, it's a good idea to tell him where he is. Because all the clamoring about Biden having dementia, if there's a very strong chance that Trump would have gone, Bedminster looks great this time of year. That's all. Sir, that's New York City. No. That's not Fifth Avenue. That's part of the Gulf.
From what many Americans consider an illegitimate Biden White House.
No, they don't. Not many. A scary number, but not many.
Meanwhile, you've been quite vocal on the domestic and the foreign policy front.
And by vocal, she means you've been microblogging from your website.
But due to big tech censorship, we only get to hear from you through your website or through interviews like this one.
Right. Right, I know. And it's even worse because no one turned my mic on.
So I'd like to...
He looks exhausted.
Start use this battle with the big tech conglomerate that you
know, the one you lost, apparently.
have been waging as our jumping off point. Where do you think?
Okay. This is so bad.
We are going next in terms of fighting big tech? Is this a Pandora's box that we can't close again?
Well, yeah. Basically, yeah, it's screwed forever. We're stuck. I mean, look at me. I'm stuck to microblogging and appearing on OAN, and they call it an exclusive when I'm saying the same shit I say everywhere. You know, this is definitely a sign that things have taken a turn for the worse.
Well, we really have no choice. If the politicians in Washington, and it'll come back to bite the Democrats. Right now they're on the side, but it'll come back to bite them. If they don't do something about big tech.
What? Okay, wait a minute. Why are we intercutting the close-up between a moving... You actually have the rotate... Because it went behind her head because you didn't set it up properly, and the angle you're on is terrible. So you have your motorized slider that's doing the whole interview. You paid $700, $1,500 for it, $3,000. Let's say you bought the good one. Let's OAN. Let's say you invested in the good motorized slider, and you're at it working, and then you've got another camera on sticks, making sure you basically get the picture of him and the plane. So priority-wise, what are the three important things in this shot? The plane, the reflection of the plane over a tenement, and this dude. And then a blown-out open window in the back, which...
you're not going to have much of a country.
I'm just saying, huge money being spent here on nothing.
Left. Because they're doing things that are so wrong. They're silencing people. They're silencing a certain voice. And I don't just mean my voice. I mean many voices that speak as I think. And frankly, they're doing things that...
that speak as I speak? You mean with like shitty... That's not true at all. Because I myself have major typos all the time on Twitter, and I've never been shut down. So there...
nobody would have even felt was conceivable just a short period of time ago.
Yeah, but that's true of the existence of social media at all.
I think it started 2 or 3 years ago.
Did it?
And it's gotten worse, and now it's to a point where they don't have conversation. They don't want to talk about things, whether it's election fraud or whether it's the Biden corruption or so many other things.
Yeah, name them.
So many other things, but...
So many. There's so many things. You know what I mean, guys? Well, thank you, Martha. There's so many things they don't talk about. You can't even talk about the things.
Those were the two that I saw. The really, when I first noticed it to the full extent, those were the two things that they weren't talking about.
And
I'm trying. I will try to hold out, please.
it almost, for a moment there, it almost seemed like that was a point where the left and the right could come together. They were...
Totally. But yes, there was a point where everybody was saying, I hate Trump, I hate his tweets. And then people were like, I love Trump, I just wish he wouldn't tweet anymore.
At one point talking about how big tech is a problem, but now under the Biden...
Yeah, well... That's because largely we were talking about the fact that they were selling political ads in rubles on Facebook. It wasn't the same. We weren't upset about the same thing.
Biden administration, it seems like they are cozying up to Silicon Valley and bringing in a lot of individuals who may not necessarily fight big tech.
Well, they have a lot of people working in the White House who worked for big tech. And
yeah, for big tech, whatever. I know apparently someone in the department, the Office of Management and Budget, worked for Geek Squad during his summers in college. This is terrible.
And the Democrats actually started against big tech. They were really opposed to it.
Were we opposed to big tech? Were we? Or was there a very specific problem?
Then all of a sudden they embraced big tech. And I don't say that was a dumb thing to do, but a very bad thing for the country to do. And
So it's smart to do things that are very bad for the country. Great. Okay, cool. Check. Put that. Donald Trump. It's smart to do things that are bad for the country.
See what happens over a period of time. But we're getting our voice out. I think my voice is out just as it was before.
Totally. I mean, it's awesome when you put out your microblogs and your son reads them on Rumble. This is just as good. I mean, sure, I could live tweet all the time, post my own videos, and do my own stuff, but it's basically the same thing. And he's not wrong. It kind of is. Him microblogging on his website and his son blathering it out like, guys. I mean, that's basically the same thing. He's going to say it's elegant next, isn't he? He's going to say it's elegant.
Other than if you want to run a campaign, much more difficult to raise money because you use those various platforms to raise money. And what the conservative voice is going to have to do is get platforms going. We're going to have to do our own.
Yeah, that's a great way to reach the unreachable voter is start your own circle jerk and lock all the doors and windows.
Our own thing, and it's very important. I think there'll be tremendous litigation because it makes it very unfair. When you see what they're doing with lock boxes or...
What happened to oh my God, what happened to why is it slanting now? Did one of the books fall off?
Whatever you want to call them. And they come in and they have mostly Biden votes. And you say, where were they for the last 24 hours? They take a long time to deliver as they pick them up and deliver them, and they're not delivered on time or even slightly on time.
You know, sometimes I get on Tucker Carlson for having like his like slapdash word salad gibberish cross topic, nothing really lines up, and at the end he goes, huh? Basically as is like, look, I brought it all and it all fits together, and it's none of it did. But at least the idea is that they were crafting this idea and they kind of are dealing with their own viewers, and they know they've got to just throw like dog treats at their viewers to keep them interested, and it doesn't have to make sense any more than like if you throw dog treats at a dog, it doesn't have to be a well-rounded meal. The dog will just eat them as they fall on the floor and go, yeah, that was freaking awesome. He was just talking about big tech and campaigns and literally went to lock boxes. What?
Delivered very late.
Yeah, because they delayed them. I'm not going to treat this like it's a real argument. I'm sorry. I feel like as a habit, I'll act like this still has meaning. It has none.
So many things that they've done, whether it's individually or through those.
Yes, good. Chanel, keep nodding at him. Please just nod constantly, because the more you nod, the more he'll think he's saying something worthwhile, and the dribble will just roll.
Companies, and this massive litigation is about to be filed, has been filed, but also is about to be filed.
Yeah, but has been, will, sort of, is, can be, and is trying to.
To the point of conservatives needing to start their own competing platforms, several big tech alternatives are currently courting you and your millions of followers. They're looking to.
That's right. We're thinking about YouTube, and my son's doing very adequately on Rumble. We're thinking about buying Rumble, and then paying ourselves more, automatically giving Don Jr. So he can compete with Diamond and Silk and videos of koala bears drinking from a bottle.
To either partner up with you or do something with you.
A branding exercise, like all the buildings that you have around that you're like, look what I built, and you didn't build it, you just put your name on it.
What are you evaluating as you consider the next step into?
Lots of things, and yet he'll say nothing.
Social media now.
You know, the biggest problem we have so many followers, hundreds of millions.
No, he doesn't. He does not have hundreds of millions of followers. He has the same followers across 3 platforms.
Zuckerberg came to the White House, had dinner with me. He said, congratulations, you're #1. That would be on Facebook.
That's what he said. That would be on Facebook. Clearly not in life. He didn't mean it financially. Zuckerberg's an actual billionaire. That would actually be on Facebook.
And had dinner with him and his wife. And Melania, First Lady, was there, myself, and he said, congratulations. We have so many followers. And on Twitter, you know what the numbers were. And they were holding it back. They were absolutely doing things to hold it back. But
Yeah, you mean when they would broom out all the fake followers on a regular basis?
tens of millions of people. So I think I had 36 million on that POTUS. I had 90 or 91 million on one account. We had other
Same people.
accounts, and then we have accounts that are closely associated with us. So we had a couple of 100 million people. And the problem is, a lot of these platforms, you can't put that many people on. It just doesn't work. They explode.
That's why he's being censored by big tech. They get so big. They're like the trees. They just explode. They. You can't have too many followers on a website because they explode. What? I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to get through this one. We're in it like, for fuck's sake, we're 10 minutes into this stupid thing. I'm dying. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna... You can't have too many. That's why I'm gonna tell people. That's why I can never crack 200,000 Twitter followers because the site will explode. Oh my God. All right. I got shit. Oh. I feel like I'm being interviewed by Jiminy Glick. Oh, son of a bitch. All right, I got to hold it together. Oh my God. Yeah, the trees explode. Oh God.
If you put 500,000 on, it's like a lot.
I can't. Oh my God. Oh, I can't. If you put 500,000 on it, it's like a lot. Oh my God. If you put, oh good God. It's like a lot. Oh God, I'm gonna breathe. I'm fine. Oh God. Oh, they explode because you, 500,000 because it's a lot.
And they can't handle it.
Hold. Son of a bitch.
And the technology just isn't there right now for that.
Yeah, it's just, Facebook does not have the technology to handle 500,000 followers. Oh, By the way, I think he meant 500 million, but but I'm just going to let him be stupid.
For that, but the technology is coming very rapidly, and we're working on something that I think will be a blockbuster when it happens. It's going to.
This is the Trump supercomputer they're working on. It's an AI quantum computer. Yeah, please talk about quantum entanglement is the only thing that can hold all of your followers.
Be something that's going to be special.
Very special.
But, you know, I've been offered companies for almost nothing, big chunks of companies that have.
Big chunks of companies. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna die. I'm never gonna make it through this. I've been offered big chunks of companies. Oh God, this is magic. I'm gonna die. It's been offered big chunks of companies. Shit. I'm afraid to push play. I'm afraid. Oh, okay. Oh, big
that have platforms. The problem is they can't hold the people. It will take forever to get them on.
So it's the technical.
Yeah, that's why they're not. That's why they start. Holy shit. Just think about what this lie is masking. Basically, so Trump announces, because he's got all these followers and they can't wait to hear from him. And he's afraid to go, like, get and partner with these things because he's going to promise all these followers. And when they don't show up, he's going to go, well, it takes a lot of time.
Technological.
It's a technological problem because nobody ever had the number of people that I've had. That, you know, when we got absolutely viciously canceled, in fact, so much so that when Facebook went to their so-called Supreme Court, the Supreme Court.
Their so-called Supreme Court? You call it that. They don't call it that.
What are you doing this to us? You know, you look at what happened. You saw that. They didn't like being put in that position because what Facebook did was wrong, and what they all did was wrong. They're wrong in so many ways. But so we're looking for the right opportunity, and we think we are very close to having it. And when we have it, you'll be the first to know. You'll be right there because I have to tell you what you've done and what your network has done for this country. Someday will be written about.
Yeah. It'll be microblogged. I almost killed myself in that. I think
you are
very special.
A voice in the wilderness. It's
a voice in the wilderness. Oh God. Cut to Chanel quickly.
It's very sad, but you people, the courage that OAN has had has been incredible. And it's really something I believe that people are going to be talking about that in the future. And it's also one of the reasons you're doing so well.
Despite the censorship, it is.
Yeah, we're doing great. We're so great. We're on like 3 sites and we do get to post our stuff on YouTube. You got kicked off. We're still there. That's weird.
Voices like ours that are still providing information to the American public in ways that the mainstream media.
I have to take drinks during her questions. Otherwise, I will spray my monitors with beverage.
Media is suppressing or hiding away.
Well, there's a fear out there. I mean, I know people that have your.
So who thinks I'm faking the laughter? Really? I am so appreciative that you think my acting is that good. And it is, but I'm not. I mean, this isn't.
Voice, but they're afraid to use it. They have your. If you call it ideology, you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, a lot of people call their ideology something else.
But they are afraid to do it because they don't want to be sued. They don't want to be prosecuted. I mean,
this is a better angle. OAN, stop getting your cameramen from Fiverr.
Prosecutors are out of control.
And don't let Trump go, let's shoot this way, the view is better, because you can't see the view and you. If you have to light for the person or the outside light, and there is no way to look at the washout on this. Look at this. Do you understand the moraying, the zebraing that is going on their monitor right now?
So let's turn to media for a second.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's pretend OAN's not media.
Americans are tuning out and turning off the vast majority of news channels that are out there now. And the latest data is showing their numbers are plummeting.
Because they don't have to monitor the news every second to see if the world is collapsing or if this asshole has live tweeted the end of the military as we know it or something like that. They're like, oh, all right, I'll check in when there's a big issue, but I can go back to having my own life. I don't have to like white knuckle watching the news all day long.
And
I mean, CNN is down 50 or 60%. Nobody's ever heard of that. MSDNC is down 50%.
And yet they're still kicking Fox's ass. That's weird.
Fox is way down. You know, Fox is comparing its numbers to last year, but last year they went way down because people felt that they really abandoned what they believed in. What
do they believe in? I'm going to, I think one of the things that Fox believes in is proper use of an F-stop. Look at what we're watching. Look at this. There's a former president of the United States, and it looks like he's about to be, like he's falling into the sun.
I think a majority of the people of this country believed in. So Fox is way down. And you look, and it's a very sad thing. And you wonder why they're doing it. You wonder, what are they doing? What are they thinking? Because commercially, it's so...
Yeah, lies make so much more money. Look, I mean, OAN is growing because they're not afraid to lie. And Fox gets stuck on, you know, I guess some of the time we got to tell the truth. And it's just a drag on your bottom line, man.
It's a bad decision for them.
You certainly would think so.
If you'll indulge me, I want to share with you some data. So for the first quarter, 2021, third-party measurements via AT&T set-top boxes show that OAN, our network, is number 4. We're very proud of that fact, and we're not as big as these other networks in that regard.
Yeah, after the top 3, there's a huge drop-off.
But we're beating out serious services like CNBC, CNN, Headline News, Fox Business, News.
All their secondary channels that no one watches.
Max, Bloomberg, others. We only trail CNN, MSNBC, and Fox right now.
MSNBC?
Why are Americans rejecting the mainstream media?
They're not. They aren't.
Narratives in so broad a stroke right now.
Because they're so smart and much smarter than these networks think. And I must say, in terms of some of the networks, not CNN and MSDNC because they're in that world, but some of them are afraid.
And their content.
Wait. Afraid of what? That was a hot cut. Are we cutting a ramble? Or do they need an ad? Like, Jesus, that was a leap. Quick, get out before he says.
It reflects a fear so strong, it seeks to actively suffocate the truth. So what is this fear grounded in?
That the truth can breathe?
Trump's answer when we return.
Super exciting. This is some of the best semi-presidential. We couldn't get the rights to Lee Greenwood, so this will do.
As California goes, so goes the nation.
Okay, and by the way, I don't know if I can jump past these ads on here or not. So that's the tough part. I think, oh yeah, here we go. Really? Okay, go. All right.
Your nation, your news.
Your graphics.
One American News Network.
Where F-stops are for pussies. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the applause is not genuine. And I don't know why it's there.
We return to our talk with President Trump on why Americans are
if he goes straight from lying about without them fixing
fleeing
it,
the
I'll be amazed.
propaganda of big media, a trend that should be a somber message to most news networks.
Oh, I'm sorry, a what message? Sorry, 1 second. Say that again.
We return to our talk with President Trump on why Americans are fleeing the propaganda of big media, a trend that should be a somber message to most news networks.
A somber message.
Americans are tired of the spin, the lies, and the cover-ups,
I know I am.
even by self-proclaimed conservative outlets.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I don't have a problem with the ones I watch, but I'd imagine, like, I've been watching Tucker too. I know what you're bitching about. I know it's rough.
President Trump says the covering up of some of the biggest stories in our lifetimes are driven by fear.
They don't want to have lawsuits. They don't want to have litigation. They don't want to go through subpoenas and all of the problems, all of the things that are.
They don't like defamation cases and that kind of stuff. They don't want to be deposed in defamation cases, like Jean Carroll.
So viciously being used. And they're really afraid. I see it with people that I've known for a long time, and all of a sudden they don't want to broadcast the truth. We don't have a free and fair press anymore, or media anymore. This is not free. And
No, I mean, cable costs money. Sorry, my nose is running from laughing before.
you look at communist countries, that's what happens. Nobody can talk. And when
Yeah, the worst thing about communist countries, the cable systems.
you can't talk, there's nothing to discuss. I used to say something, and I would say it was right, but maybe it was controversial, and they'd be hitting me, I'd be hitting them. You argue it out, and you win or you lose, but it's a point. Now they don't want to talk about it.
What?
They don't want to talk about election fraud. What is happening in that?
No, we talk about it all the time. And by the way, for the record, I've been watching a bunch of these Arizona updates in Pennsylvania, and they're going to try and do the Antrim County thing. Like, I watch all those nutcases on YouTube that he watches religiously and like as he sips his own Kool-Aid. And for the record, every moment where they've gone, there's a legitimate finding here of fraud. There's some dead people that voted. Anytime they dig down, they voted for Trump. And it's really hard not to think that he tried to rig the election and failed. And that whole algorithm thing that Mike Lindell goes on about how they thought they were going to win and then the algorithm couldn't work and then they had to print ballots. Sounds like something he did. They seem to have a lot of intimate knowledge of how that would possibly work. So it's like saying, like, when somebody is at a murder scene, like, clearly they stabbed him, hid the knife in the drawer, ran out those ways wearing another pair of shoes, and changed in the barn. You seem to know a lot about this. Well, speaking from, there's no footprints or anything. How do you know they went out that way? It's obvious that you're going to find some, obviously there's going to be a blood trail out in the yard. I'm just saying, whoever it was probably did that.
In Arizona is such a big story.
Our OAN's Christina Bobb is doing excellent work down there covering the Arizona audit now.
Yes. And by the way, people are finding it. That's all people ask me. They say, what's going on in Arizona?
Yeah, that's because you only talk to people who think you're still president, you lunatic.
They want to talk about the election fraud.
Yeah, I'm sure anybody who walks up to you and goes, why don't you just relax and play golf? I mean, honestly, like, what's the big deal? Like, you don't talk to them.
The weak Republicans don't want to talk about it. The weak or stupid or rhinos, or call them whatever you want.
I call them weak, stupid rhinos. Call all Republicans weak, stupid rhinos and steal their money during the election. I have no problem with this. They made this bed, they can sleep in it. And if you spend the next 2 years doing nothing but attacking electable Republicans and all across the country, more power to you.
And yet the Republican voter, that's what they want to hear.
No. The 60% of Republican voters actually like the infrastructure bill, for example. 0 Republicans in Congress are voting for it.
They want to hear about 2020. They want to find out, is that something that should be turned over? When they rob a jewelry store of all the diamonds and they get caught, you have to return the diamonds. They want to find out what's going on.
Yeah, but for example, if the thief that robbed the diamond store, did he say diamond store?
Is that something that should be turned over? When they rob a jewelry store of all the diamond voter, that's what they want to hear.
He said jewelry store. Good, because I'm going to...
They want to hear about 2020. They want to find out, is that something that should be turned over? When they rob a jewelry store of all the diamonds and they get caught, you have to return the diamonds.
Yeah, if they have the diamonds. But if the person who actually robbed the jewelry store says those guys who invested in the diamond store and who own the diamond store now are the real jewel thieves. See where I'm going?
They want to find out what's going on. The Republican voter wants this story. The weak Republican politician doesn't want to talk about this story because they think it's bad politically. I think it's great politically.
Well, it would be for you, but then you lost the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So what you know about what it means for something to be, quote, good politically is hilarious.
I think it's great politically. I mean, look, either that, maybe I'll be wrong, but right
You are.
now it looks like my poll numbers are higher than they've ever been.
No, they're not.
My endorsement, certainly, every day I get calls from people wanting an endorsement. We've had, just over the last 2 weeks, we've had 5 or 6 elections, 5 or 6 to 0. I think we're 128-2 over the last.
And by the way, he's talking about like RNC chairman spots.
Short period of time, 128 wins and 2 losses. If Mitch McConnell fought in the Senate for election integrity.
Did it freeze? What happened? What happened?
By the way, people are finding it, but other than fundraising, he's very weak.
We'll get to Mitch McConnell. I definitely want to.
Yeah, don't jump ahead. What about me?
Talk about that with you, but let's talk about immigration for a moment. In Biden and Harris together, they still refuse to visit the border. They still refuse to utter the words border crisis.
It's almost as if we're using the playbook from pre 9/11 about Islamic terrorism, and that just the phrase means you're doing something. And if you just say that, you don't even have to do anything. You just have to say the phrase to placate our viewers. Right.
If you, from a distance, watching them operate this way, is this symptomatic of them simply being very arrogant about their own policies? Are they being incompetent, or is this? Are they doing this on purpose? Are they?
We're definitely not going to hear in this answer, the projection of incompetence and arrogance. That is not going to happen.
Flooding the United States with illegal immigrants so that it can somehow benefit the DNC.
How would it?
Well, it's more than a border crisis. It's really a humanitarian crisis. You look at human trafficking, which is mostly women. You look at the drugs that are pouring in at levels like they've never done. We had a lot of it.
Both topics that seem to have disappeared all of a sudden under the.
Yeah, maybe because it's not actually true.
Talks about that. They don't talk about the human.
Because it's not actually true.
Trafficking. They don't talk about drugs. The drugs pouring in through the border now, they're saying they're up by a percentage. It's not. I don't even want to say it because it sounds so ridiculous.
Say it. Say what it is, because you will be fact checked and found to be full of shit.
You would almost say it can't be fact, but I think it is.
You think it is? Well, then say what it is.
We were stopping everybody. I had 20.
And by the way, if he goes by like mid 2020 when the border's effectively shut down and nobody's going anywhere because of COVID, literally Mexicans are not crossing into the United States because we have more COVID cases than Mexico, and uses that as the spike point as opposed to 2019, which would be indicative of his policies.
28,000 Mexican soldiers at no cost to the United States.
That story again.
Stopping it because I said.
Why would they be at why would they be at the northern border? We can guard our own border. What they were supposed to stop was their southern border.
I have a great relationship and a lot of respect for the president of Mexico. I think he's a terrific guy. And he understood the problem, but it was also a
He's a terrific guy who, according to Trump, by the way, is literally on purpose emptying their prisons of rapists, murderers, and drug dealers and delivering them into the United States as a bioweapon. Thank you, Laura.
Mexico problem because people were pouring through Mexico. He didn't want to have that either because they're not just coming from Mexico. They come from Honduras and Guatemala. They come from El Salvador, but they also come from the Middle East. And we have some very bad people coming into our country, and you don't hear that anymore. In fact,
no, we don't. because we just handle it and we know the government's handling it, and it's a natural part of having a southern border and having a very enticing country. We just recognize that that's always going to be a process, and then we just have to work on a long-term solution for it instead of acting like every day is a crisis.
In fact, if you really notice, you look at the newscasts, for the most part, they don't want to talk about the border crisis. But
Because it isn't one.
it is a crisis, and it's a humanitarian disaster.
And by the way, when he says humanitarian disaster, he doesn't mean unaccompanied minors. Notice he didn't bring that up. Notice that? 11-year-old kid found in the desert, no parents. That's not the crisis to him. The crisis to Donald Trump, of course, is that his wall doesn't work, apparently.
When we talk about the most basic definitions of a nation state, you have a central form of government, you have a border, and a means to protect that border.
Right.
You have person, woman, man, can't, like all all those parts.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
That's the basic definition of a nation state. And these were nonpartisan topics in our lifetimes.
Nobody even, you could have a flag, a border, a country, states, laws, citizens, that's in there somewhere, right? Not citizens, sky, what else?
They weren't political issues until the Democrats made them political issues.
What?
So, hypothetically, if our migration crisis right now consisted of Republican voting migrants from Hong Kong,
Right.
instead
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
of Democrat voting migrants from Latin America and Central America.
And by the way, people who overstay their visa are the largest group of people who are in the country illegally at any given time.
Would the Democrats
Thanks,
still
Al
be for
Powers.
open borders, or is this...
No. And they know open borders are not good for the country, but they feel their votes, or they're incompetent. And I haven't determined which one.
Yeah, why would you start now? I mean, you were only in office for 4 years. You've been out of office for months now. You lost the election soundly. You had debates on the topic of immigration last year. Why would you ever come to a conclusion about what your opponent in an election actually has as their purpose? When the hell? Dude, it's May.
I happen to think it's incompetence, but a lot of people say I'm wrong. They legitimately want open borders. When I look at the people coming in, and when you really analyze it, the people coming, they're being released from prisons to come.
See? But he just told us that the Mexican president's a good guy and he respects him, and then he jumps to they're being released from prison. Watch this.
Into our country.
To come into our country, they're being released from. This is the same shit that Rudy said about about COVID.
These are killers. These are gang members, MS-13 in particular, but
Yeah, the especially the 12-year-old MS-13 members.
the worst of all the gangs. They
Do you ever stop hyping these assholes?
make the Hells Angels look like nice people, okay?
That's a good analogy. Thank you, the artist, former Leno, Craig. Don't forget to help out the show by donating $6.66 to help us buy 666 Fifth Avenue and turn it into a positive affirmation building instead of the Kirshner blight that it is.
Okay? These are gang members.
Sorry. Can we hear that again? You guys mind? Can we just hear his analogy? The MS-13 makes the Hells Angels.
MS-13 in particular, but the worst of all the gangs. They make the Hells Angels look like nice people, okay? These are gang members. These
Not nice people? They're not nice. These are the not nice people?
are vicious, vicious people, and many of them are coming into our country. And not only that, drug dealers and human traffickers, and all of them are coming in. And I'm not talking about, 1% or 1/10 of 1%. I'm talking about a large number of people. They're walking up, and they're coming up right now. You take a look at what's walking up to our country right now.
Yes. Vast numbers of unaccompanied minors. Oh my God.
Tens of thousands of people are migrating into the United States. So I used to say, because politically it can't be good. It can't be good. I mean, does that help them get votes? I don't think so. Now, they say that someday they'll be voting for them. I'm not so sure, because I did so well with the Hispanic vote.
Yeah. I mean, Democrats think that murderers and rapists who've been released from prison in Mexico will eventually be Democratic voters, but Trump disagrees. He thinks he's got the Mexican ex-con murderer and rapist vote locked down in a couple of years.
All the border towns along Texas, look at the numbers. It's been a big story how well I did. So I don't know that necessarily that's going to be good for them from a political standpoint. I don't think it matters, because if...
So what you're saying is the murderers and the rapists are Trump fans.
they rig the vote, what difference does it make if they get people to put on a different hat 5 times a day and go in and vote as a different person?
Why does his idea of voter fraud sound like something out of the 30s?
So let's see what happens. But I would hear that they want open borders. I'm not sure they do. I think it may just be incompetence.
I mean, dude, lockdown, you have to, you can't just say that to OAN. You can't just like he just knifed OAN's tires. They run on the idea that Democrats not only want open borders, but they want no borders at all. Like, they push this illusion nonstop. Same with Newsmax. Half of Fox does this shit. You can't roll in and say, well, they just don't know what they're doing. Maybe because somebody's going to go, well, maybe they'll learn and they'll change what they're doing because they obviously don't want open borders. They just are trying something and it didn't work. They might be able to reverse course.
But time will tell.
Trump reiterates,
time will tell.
None of these crises would be bearing down on America had we had a fair election in 2020.
We did have a fair election in 2020, by the way.
A topic Americans want to investigate, but politicians dare not touch.
They're touching it, all right. A lot of them are touching, especially the Republicans in Maricopa County.
When we return, Trump talks election fraud. We'll be right back.
So exciting. Hand job, hand job. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead in this. I don't know where he has to. We the people and Constitution and little graphics, and they make this, and then this shows that we love America more than you do, and then here it is. I thought that said edible news for 1 second. Oh. You think he's pointing at the guy pushing the sample of the audience? Do I have one like that? Let's see. I have a. Let's see. Stream. No, I have. Let's see. I can go. Thank you. Thank you. It's actually rain, but it works. No, please. Please, please. Put your umbrellas down. I honestly. This is. Sorry, Lord.
What people want to talk about is it all comes down to what happened in the election.
You lost, I think is the thing. You lost soundly.
Because you look at Georgia. Georgia was fantastic.
I agree.
What happened to all those votes? What happened to all those people that were standing on line?
Well, they were swamped by the people who voted by mail and voted early. And the only people standing on line were your supporters who thought it was a plandemic and the vaccines were fake and all that shit.
Wearing red hats and wearing all sorts of things.
Yeah, all sorts of things. Yeah, dinosaur costumes, inflatable dongs. What are you talking about?
Happened. And then you look at Michigan and you look at how do you win Ohio in a record and Florida in a record and South Carolina in a record and Iowa in a record and then you lose Michigan?
Because Michigan has a Democratic governor and they do vote Democratic, whereas Ohio and Florida and Iowa and South Carolina are all flooded with Republican money and overwhelm the system down there. And by the way, I think it's a good question if you want to talk about the other companies, the ES&S machines.
And you lose Pennsylvania. We were up at 10:30 in the evening by so much in Pennsylvania, it wasn't doable.
Even she's not having it.
Unless something crooked happened. You were watching and you were reporting at 10:30 in the evening.
I did the whole night.
This election was over.
No, it wasn't. I was up all night. And a huge number of people voted by mail, almost to based on party lines.
And then in the morning, all of a sudden,
No, not all of a sudden. Over the course of the next day, especially, you lost.
it wasn't looking so good
Right, you lost.
because
Because you lost.
they had drops like the likes of which, and you've reported it, you've
Nobody's ever dropped to drop before?
seen it in Wisconsin and Michigan, drops of hundreds of thousands of votes, almost all of which went to Biden.
Yeah, but why, if they were just fake ballots, why wouldn't they just do all of them to Biden? Why would they just throw them in like, hey, somebody might check these?
And yet the people take it. I have people come up to me and say, sir,
Oh boy, we got a sir story right out of the gate. I buy this. This is totally true.
future, you're going to be the candidate in 2024.
Do they talk like that? Or is this person a moron? Sir, focus on the future. You're going to be the candidate in 2020. Like, the people who address him as sir are increasingly dumb, apparently.
Went to Biden. And yet the people take it. I have people come up to me and say, sir, focus on the future. You're going to be the candidate in 2024. Focus on the future. You'll do well in 2022, and you're going to be the candidate and absolutely win in 2024. But I say, well, wait a minute. We won already.
No, you lost. But please keep pushing this.
We won already. And people have to.
You look like a winner, especially with this like well-crafted shot and the background. I mean, that building in the back, I mean, you can see it's like it brings out the essence of New York, the artistry,
No.
By the way, I like the idea that you put the airplane on a camera swivel so that you can change which way it's flying, so you can go and do your own stop animation. So this was the one from where you were faking being the president for a while. Or did you shrink down? Whatever happened to the Trump plane? Is it still sitting on that runway rotting?
What went on? And they don't want to have it again. One of the questions I get, well, will the same thing happen again in 22?
No, of course not. Please, Phil. No. 2022 will be an awesome thing. Yeah, vote for Republicans. Please come out, because there's no way your vote won't be counted. I mean, I'm going to insist that even though a bunch of Republicans won, that because I lost, the whole thing was fraudulent. But next time.
And 24. And if we can't convince people that won't happen again, or if we don't get right down to the bottom of it and change it, those people aren't going to be there to vote.
So which is it? Are you going to convince people it didn't happen, or fix the thing that apparently did? You got to kind of. I mean, you have to admit, if you're selling the entire idea is that you were cheated, so you'd have to fix that, not go, yeah, I was cheated, but I won't be cheated next time.
What
So
are
the
your
Republican.
Did he just fart? That's entirely possible. I don't know. We'll watch her. She's had a little Botox, so I'm going to assume that either that or she just does not move her forehead when she speaks.
What's your message
The
to them
Republicans
now?
are going to have to do something, whether it's Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy.
Why would they? They're weak and rhinos and stupid and incompetent. I mean, you're counting on these folks?
Or the leadership locally, they have to do something. There was an expression that I've heard that you've heard for many years. The vote counter is far more important than the politician or the person running for office. And that was the case in this.
That's exactly the phrase. I remember it being that way. I mean, was it originally a haiku?
Instance for the presidential election. Very sad.
It looks
It is very sad when there's supposedly a statement that everybody says, but somehow is not. I don't know. Whatever. By the way, don't forget to give a thanks, moms. Don't forget to. You're reminding me. Share the show on your Twitch channel and like and subscribe. Thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe on Twitch. Patreon.com/HalSparks. There, I'm being good.
Looks
That this
like-
could happen. It was a third
Sure.
world election.
well. It looks
It was a third world election. Yes. But it was one of those where the rest of the world cheers as a third world country gets a legitimate president instead of the tin pot dictator they had.
like a lot of that made
50% of it was a third world election, in that the guy running was a bloviated orange fake billionaire who insisted on the media kissing his ass nonstop.
well be uncovered very shortly. So
being uncovered
hopefully
now.
we see that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look at it. I mean, it's just like all of this. I mean, it's so out in the open.
And it'd be nice if the papers would report it. but they don't want to do that.
No.
They're destroying our country.
But that luckily our country has rock and scissors, so paper can't totally destroy it.
There are specific policies that Joe Biden is putting forward now are greatly affecting the economy. Their narrative, in the sight of looming inflation ahead of us, the Biden administration, Chair Powell, Janet Yellen, they all say the inflation is only temporary. Should Americans believe that?
No, of course not. Let me think about that for a second, because I have investments, and if I say the wrong thing, my investments will take a shit, and people will put all their money in gold and undermine all of my Bitcoin and oil stocks.
Well, I disagree. I mean, if they keep going the way they're going.
Well, they're not going to keep going the way they're going. Obviously, we're not, even with the extension of UI, it's not a permanent. They have not turned UI into UBI. Thank you, Templeton Zorat. Merci beaucoup et de rien. Bonjour.
Look at what's happened.
Bienvenue au macho.
With fuel. When I was president, it was less than $2. And
because no one was going anywhere. Literally, oil companies were paying people to store their fuel. But a barrel of oil literally had a negative price at one point. And by the way, I've never ever heard in my lifetime oil having a negative price. And this asshole was president at that time and could have filled the national reserves of the United States with not only free oil, but had other countries, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, like other oil producing countries, could have paid us to take the oil off their hands. He could have filled the national reserves with that oil. Did he? No. He didn't do shit. He waited until the price went back up.
And in some cases, substantially less than $2 in some areas of time. And
in some areas of time, what zip code in time? Some areas of time.
Now it's going to be, I think it's going to be setting records. Timber has gone through the roof, and so many other things.
Yeah, timber. That's the big thing. Timber. Lumber prices are up because of COVID, they haven't gotten full back to production, but all the stocks of wood are being used up because there's a housing boom right now. So timber is apparently the expensive part because no one's yelling it right now. Lumber costs a lot, but timber is the expensive part.
I think inflation is a very big, I don't think you can say it's transitory, or I don't think you can say.
I wouldn't say it's transitory.
I think it's going to be setting records. Timber has gone through the roof, and so many other things. I think inflation is a very big, I don't think you can say it's transitory, or I don't think you can say anything about inflation other than it may be coming.
Sure. All right. Well, that's leadership for you. You can't say anything about inflation other than it may be coming. Transitory. Jesus Christ. Please cut to her nodding on transitory. Like, yeah, bro, totally transitory. By the way, he's a transitarian. He only eats planes. That's his lunch. Transitory.
And if it comes, it's a bad thing.
I'm sorry, that has to be a sound drop.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Look at the cutaway. I did not. I just froze that pause on, oh God. This is Derek. It's coming. I mean, this would be the reaction when he says that. It's just a natural reaction. Normally there's a tap on the head, but she's too far away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, here we go.
A Space Force commander
Wait, a what?
named Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lohmeyer was recently fired for speaking out against Marxism in the U.S. military. What does this say about Biden?
Is that what he was fired for? Speaking out against Marxism? Because I doubt it. I doubt it. I think he's going to get kicked out because he was speaking out against diversity training, and especially as a member of the Space Force, and there's nothing in his, like, we don't have space troops, and in space, no one has a weight problem.
Biden's national defense focus, and then are we now firing officers who are speaking out against America's enemies?
Well,
Sorry, is that our primary Karl Marx? Is he back? I haven't checked. Is he in his underground lair, getting ready to like launch his missiles at us? Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my underground lair.
well, they've actually said that. The Secretary of Defense actually said he wants to root out all sorts of people from the military. I mean,
Oh yeah, just all sorts of people. That's the great thing about diversity, is that they're rooting out all sorts of people. Is it all sorts, or is it just racists?
people, nobody ever thought in terms of this.
Yeah, they did. The Bush administration had a real problem with white supremacists getting their training during the Iraq War in the military and then going out and planning for the Great Day of the Rope. Militias in Michigan are full of these assholes. They were brooming these folks out all the time. It's an ongoing problem. It always has been. The problem was during your presidency, you didn't give a shit. You welcomed those people. You thought they were the true patriots.
And in some cases, some great people are being hurt
Are they?
very badly. Their lives
There's some, and the neo-Nazis being broomed out of the military. There's some lovely people on both sides.
are being destroyed. This is a whole different thing that this country has never seen before. And our people better get smart, and our weak Republican leadership better do something about it, or they're not going to have a job, but it's going to be much worse. That's the least of the problems. They got to get tough, and they better do it soon. You know, I'm watching the negotiation, which is a one-way negotiation in Congress. They get whatever they want approved. McConnell is hopeless, and he can't stop anything.
Yeah, keep attacking him. Yeah, please, go ahead. I will not interrupt
Is there
that.
any real difference between Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer?
No. I mean, they're both Jewish. They're both from New York. They both have Asian wives. They both, their wives' families have been involved in cocaine trafficking. Sorry. Is there any difference? Listen to this. Understand what that sentence just came out of this interviewer's mouth in a one-on-one interview with Donald Trump. Is there a difference between Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer?
From your experience?
I do. I mean, I'd rather not say, but
Yeah. Don't say anything too biting.
there certainly is. I'll tell you this. If Chuck Schumer were there on the day of the vote counting, he would have said, there's no way we're going to approve this. He actually would say that 4 years ago, right? 4 years ago, they stood up and nobody complained about it. When our people stand up, they get scolded and they immediately fold. Mitch McConnell as an example.
Yeah, scold and fold. That's the bumper sticker for the Dems. Scold them and fold them. It's going to be the 2022 rallying cry for Democrats.
But Chuck Schumer never would have accepted the result of that election. Never would have accepted. They would have been out in the streets. They would have been.
Well, that's a good argument for why Democrats should be in charge of things and they're actually tough. Do you realize that Republicans run on the idea that lefties are snowflakes and soft and never fight and that they're going to let our enemies walk all over us and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, they want to run this entire argument based on the idea that that the rhino Republicans are completely weak-kneed and Democrats just stomp all over them.
Would have been marching.
This is why you need like a clarification of your message on a regular basis.
And Mitch McConnell says, well, we have to get down to business now. And you know what the business?
Excuse me. He did not say it that way. He said, well, I gotta get down to business now. That was more like that. Thank you, Francie.
This was
Thank you for the 666.
Biden signed 17 executive orders in virtually his first day, and every one of them was a disaster for our country.
Okay, it's a good, I mean, maybe that's the case. Let's see. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to create another page, and I'm going to go, let's see, Biden's first executive orders. Let's see, they're all a disaster. Let's see, let's see, ballot let's see, list of them. These are the first ones. Here's the executive orders. There you go, presidential memoranda. Well, I can see why you'd think so. Here's the list. Let me do this if I may. Let me move you out of the way, sir, if I might. Number 1, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That was the first one. Sounds like a disaster. Ensuring a lawful and accurate enumeration and apportionment pursuant to the decennial census, the 10-year census. Okay. Organizing and mobilizing the United States government to provide a unified and effective response to combat COVID-19 and to provide United States leadership on global health and security. That sounds like a disaster. Preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. Obviously terrible. Ethnic commitments by executive branch personnel. Oh, beg your pardon. Ethic commitments. Oh, and ethical, I can understand why that one would panic the shit out of Trump right there. Protecting public health and the environment and restoring science to tackle the climate crisis, protecting the federal workforce and requiring mask wearing, revocation of certain executive orders concerning federal regulation. That's the get rid of Trump stuff. Revision of civil immigration enforcement policies and priorities. A revision, not a removal. That's weird. They didn't just open the borders. Ensuring a data-driven response to COVID-19 and future high-consequence public health threats. So they're setting up a system where if anything like this happens again, you're ready for it. Ensuring an equitable pandemic response and recovery, making sure that it gets applied evenly and people in impoverished areas don't get denied vaccines and the like. So we get those little trucks full of J&J out to the Appalachian Mountains to make sure the hillbillies don't die of something else before the coal sleuth murders them. Establishing the COVID-19 pandemic testing board and ensuring a sustainable public health workforce for COVID-19 and other biological threats, improving and expanding access to care and treatments for COVID-19, promoting COVID-19 safety in domestic and international travel, protecting worker health and safety, that sounds awful, supporting the reopening and continuing operation of schools and early childhood education providers. Wait a minute, I thought Biden rolled in and shut down all the schools. Oh, that was the next day. But he said the first 17. A sustainable public health supply chain. That would be the last of the first 17. So, yeah, just obviously god-awful. Just dangerous and hideous and wrong and sad. Okay, so please continue.
So we need much sharper, much tougher leadership.
China.
Well, sure, obviously. Sharper than Mitch McConnell?
What was Biden's first mistake?
What was Biden's first mistake with China? Let's hear it.
Well, I think you may.
Well, he didn't give them all of our soybeans, our beef, and our corn for in a phase 1 trade deal where they only met a third of their promised amount of purchases.
Made many mistakes. Number one, he's shown such weakness.
Yeah, I said purchases. I'm not afraid.
You know, they have planes flying over Taiwan now. They never had this. You know, they never had these problems. You wouldn't have had this problem in Israel. They didn't shoot rockets when I was there. They're shooting thousands of rockets into Israel. That wouldn't have happened with me.
They have a ceasefire, by the way. That is the big problem with taping your interview and having to edit the shit out of it, is that it delays it by a couple of days.
Within 4 years, your administration brokered historic peace deals in the Middle East.
And yet, none of them stopped the shelling that occurred right after. It's almost like your porous wall that apparently doesn't work anymore.
And within 4 months, the Biden administration essentially is overseeing a war breakout.
You got war. You've got big war in the Middle East, and it's going to get worse.
Is it? It's going to get worse? It's a big war in the Middle East? Really? It's not the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict that's been going on as a problem for a long time, and it has flare-ups, and it goes back down, and they just had a ceasefire, and they'll probably have another flare-up at some point. And
what would you do to fix it?
They have to know the president is going to be representing whatever it is you're talking about.
Okay, that makes sense. I need to hear his whole take on this. This is, what would you do about it? Oh my God, this is gorgeous. What would you do about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict right now.
For years, your administration brokered historic peace deals in the Middle East, and within 4 months, the Biden administration.
Was there one with the Palestinians and the Israelis, the actual difficult one? He gave $50 billion worth of arms to Bahrain and the UAE.
Essentially is overseeing a war breakout.
You got war. You've got big war in the Middle East, and it's going to get worse.
Let's see, write down big war, Middle East, gonna get worse. Okay.
What would you do to fix it?
Oh, please. What would you, here it is. This is your mistake, Chanel. You asked him a baseline question. What would you do to fix it? So let's hear what he would do to fix the bigly war in the Middle East.
They have to know the president is going to be representing whatever it is you're talking about. It's an attitude. The attitude is that of weakness. This would have never happened. Look at North Korea. Everybody said this was going to be war. We're going to have.
This is his answer to what would you do about the Israeli-Palestinian bombings that were going on. It's an attitude. It's just, it's how you saunter through, baby. You know what I mean? You just gotta put on your sunglasses and go. Looks like University of Illinois.
We're going to have war with North Korea. We didn't have war with North Korea, and I got along very well with Kim Jong-un.
Sorry, was North Korea ever, during your presidency, and when you came in the first, 90 days, were they beginning a hot war with South Korea?
By the way, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. You didn't have Russia encircling Ukraine.
They were constantly firing on Ukraine.
You didn't have
encircling Ukraine? Encircling Ukraine. They can't encircle Ukraine because Europe is on the other side of Ukraine.
China flying bombers over Taiwan. You didn't have the things that are happening now. It portends to the future. It's going to be very bad unless something's done.
How do you right the ship going into 2020?
Yeah, tell him. Yeah, she still wants to know, what would you do to fix this?
Gets back maybe to the election. The election was rigged and stolen.
Oh my fucking God. The election was, what would you do to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? And this is his answer. Listen to this shit.
It tends to the future. It's going to be very bad unless something's done.
How do you right the ship going into 2022?
It gets back maybe to the election. The election was rigged and stolen.
No, it wasn't.
And we have a whole new group of people that, in my opinion, won't do the job. They're only good at fighting for themselves and fighting for their party. They're not good at fighting for the nation. And they've unleashed prosecutors.
Well, there are 81 million voters in the nation that, obviously live next door to the other 75 million. So if they fight for the 81 million, the 75 million are going to do well by comparison, especially on a national security front.
On everybody, the likes of which I don't think anybody's ever seen before.
I love that phrase, by the way. It never gets tired. The likes of which I don't think anybody's ever seen before.
It's a very dangerous place to be right now.
Next up.
Yeah, the world is a very dangerous place to be right now.
We discuss a possible return to the White House. VP chatter.
A return? Why did she become like a British mum all of a sudden? What was that?
I don't think anybody's ever seen before. It's a very dangerous place to be right now.
Next up, we discuss a possible return to the White House.
Return?
VP chatter, and President Trump makes a surprise announcement on his next big appearance.
Oh, damn!
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I'm right here. Matter of fact, I can't wait. I'm going to speed forward to the end of this. Is that it? Oh, we have to jump to the next hour? What happens? Is that it? Shit.
Bear the burden of a long.
Where was that? That's not all of it. Hold on one second. Pause. Thank you.
And year out. And so, my fellow America, ask not
It is playing.
what your
Hit pause.
country can
What's
do
happening?
For you. Ask what you.
Pause. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I didn't want 4. I wanted 4:30 p.m. There you go. And focus. 4:30. There's OAN. There you go. Of yesterday. There we go.
You can do for your
Support.
subpoenaed that fraud.
Bears, the floor of the House, coffee.
Chicago.
All right, where did the rest of this go? Damn it. I don't understand. I like edit, right? And then it was gone. And that's the other half of this thing right here.
Bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out.
Or did they just cut out of it?
My fellow America, ask.
It's just a setup. It's just a
short period of time, 100.
Is because that was the tail end of this thing. Is there still just a trickle at the end of this?
It's a very dangerous place to be right now.
Next up, we discuss a possible return to the White House. VP
Return.
chatter, and President Trump makes a surprise announcement on his next big appearance. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are they really? They're really just making me watch this ad and it's like...
This country was founded, each generation of Americans has been
I guess
summoned
not.
to give testimony to its national loyalty. Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to battle, though in battle we are, but a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do.
Okay, where's the... That's the 7PM4. 7PM4. This is the... Is this the next version of it? Oh, it's the next part? That's the...
Is the House...
It's Dan Ball.
Words when I go up against the left.
Good Lord. Where's the rest of it? What the heck? Where'd it go? Let him go. Let's see. One American... Because they don't have it listed on their site. So they just put it someplace. All right, so let's go to today, because it might already be on. 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, yeah. So it's on today. Let's see. Today now. Let's go to today now, baby. Is this it? No. Watch channel. Me watch channel.
Chatter, and President Trump makes a surprise announcement on his next big appearance. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
No, never. And in a moment, Trump will come back and tell us what he's gonna do. And he's gonna find a way to save America for me and you. Don't you know what Trump is gonna do? Can he find a way to know what's going on? Alright. And when Chanel knows what he's gonna be doing in a right radio. This is a long freaking commercial. I don't know why you'd have been
9983. That's
well, thank God we cut out of that.
1-800-339-9983 now.
Ouch. Welcome back to Fisting with Donald Trump. Tangerine Dream.
Our viewers, your voters, your friends and your foes, they all want to know this one thing.
No. As I guess, well, I would consider myself an opponent, not a foe. I consider the word foe to be very important in both the idea that it is a villain that needs to be struck down. That would be a foe as opposed to an opponent in a chess game or in politics or something like that. I make that very distinction. And of course, foe being a delicious soup.
If you, President Trump, plan to take back the White House in 2024.
Well, look, we're doing very well now.
Yeah, you're doing very well now running the... Yeah. Are we dipping into the illusion that he's still winning at Mar-a-Lago? Like, I'm still president. I run it. They have to call me if they want any stuff.
And
DeSantis,
I think almost all of them, I think almost all of them are on my side. and many of them said that if I ran, they would never run, which is a great sign of respect, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I love that idea. Please let him run unopposed next time around.
They don't have to do that, but
No, they don't have to. I mean, it would be beautiful if they did, but they don't have to.
they certainly have said it. You've heard it, most of them. But I'm going to make a decision at the right time, and I'll let you know.
In the meantime, our
That's a no, by the way.
viewers would all like to know when you will hold your next rally. They're waiting to see you in person. When are you going to do that
So
next?
relatively soon, we'll be doing one in Florida.
Oh, really? Like basically Matt Gaetz and MTG were just opening for you?
We're going to do one in Ohio. We're going to do one in Georgia. We're going to do one in North Carolina. We'll be announcing them very soon,
That was an edit.
over the next week or
Somebody leaned in and went, no, we're not.
two. And
Thanks,
I
Jay.
think we'll probably start in Florida and Ohio, and we'll be announcing the rallies very shortly.
Was it just me, or was there a series of weird little edits there? Is that counting backwards? What's happening?
President Trump, we so appreciate you sitting with us here in Trump Tower. Good
Oh,
to
this
see
is
you.
live. I see
It's
it
a
on there.
great honor. Thank you.
It was a great honor to have Donald Trump with you and me. Oh, baby. He said he's gonna come and do a rally in Georgia. Oh, Georgia. Jesus Christ.